Namaste. And welcome to TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles, where truth is shared to bring life and light to the dark areas of our lives, healing us all in His name.
Welcome to the TRC. It's your man Renaissance hanging out with you. Of course, I just took a scene to hang out in the sunlight and the bright lights, and I see that everything is working out fine. I got to get set. My picture's looking good. I want this message to be, it's really important. As we go through the holiday season, I was thinking it's time for us to catch fire. You know what I mean? We're going into 2024 very soon, and that's a year I think some paramount change is going to happen, is on the horizon, and catching fire. What inspired this was I've seen some talk about Black Wall Street and these things, and I was like, what do we really know? We know what the media has showed us, what we've done on our research, whatever it is, but there was more, because Black Wall Street was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was like March 31st through the 1st of June, 1921. 1921. Well, today I'll show you some precepts that were occurring before this actual Tulsa, Oklahoma incident, the travesty that led up. And if you ever wonder in your mind, why is it that we as Black Americans all across the globe can never get together and unite? I was thinking it's got to be something. Dr. King was here. We had Malcolm X. We had so many other great leaders, even in our time. And that was their efforts to fight and to get us to get on the same page. And do you know that it's done strategically that we could never get on the same page? Short version, I got my credit score up to a 720, which, you know, is pretty good in today's society. Now, 720, I'm responsible, and I wanted to get a small business loan, very small, would easily pay it back, was denied several times. And I'm thinking something is strategically in place, because these people can come from other countries and they can come over here and get loans like that. Why is it that me, a person who was paid in the society, taught school, been a coach, giving back, can't get a small business loan? And then I realized it's strategically done, and it was going on since 1919, right around the end of the World War I. So I have this slideshow I want to share with you, and we'll get started, because we're going to catch fire today. Remember, share, like, and subscribe. Okay? Share, like, and subscribe. Now, Red Summer 1919. If you've never heard of this was when World War I was coming to an end and a closure, and we, as slaves in that time, were slotted to move up north to the Midwest to work in the factories. And when the guys were coming home from the military expedition, they wanted their jobs back. And I understand they were like, well, we didn't fought, we should get a job back. But what was happening was there's a lot more going on. While we were catching fire with our jobs and building our communities, it was strategically done to keep us from coming together ever again. The war had ended, as you see, and the slaves had moved, but they used their wages, the low wages in these factories, to build up their communities. Look, they began to establish businesses. They sold goods to each other to avoid any unnecessary conflicts, if you get what I'm saying. The money within the Black community circulated almost 10 times. They built churches, schools, they had trades, businesses, and the dollar circulated so many times, and we were basically getting wealthy by spending our money with each other. However, and I capital word, however, the envious others did not like this quiet uprising for former slaves, and it took matters in their own hands. And in this summer, listen, from Tennessee to Georgia to South Carolina, North Carolina, Mississippi, Arkansas, Connecticut, Maryland, we were thriving. And then they realized division equals profits. What do you mean by that, Mr. Renaissance? When they could break up these communities that were thriving because we were spending our money together, they realized if we ever let them in power, they'll overtake us. And see, the real reason why we can't ever unite is because they begin to go through and burn these towns. I mean, folks, they would literally burn the town down. We were simply outproducing them. And they realized they needed us. So they came up with a systematic, I'll say, divide and conquer strategy. That's why division equals profits. That's why you have your IBMs, your Meta, your Google, your other conglomerates that are just dominating profits. I mean, like me, I'm saying a 720 credit score and I can't get a $2,000 loan. Come on, something's wrong with that picture. Then you think about hip hop, the way they kept it going, East Coast versus West Coast. When it was just one coast and we were just having hip hop, oh, we were all together, we were united, we were making music. And then they realized, oh, hip hop is a way. So they began to infiltrate. And they use the East Coast, West Coast things. Gangs, if you really know about the truth of them, when they were first initiated, especially over in California, they were doing so much good for the community. But then someone said, you know what, we got to divide them, Bloods versus Crips. And they begin to use that as a way to systematically make us begin to kill and be jealous of each other and envious of each other so they could keep outproducing us. Then they had the old versus young. Think about it nowadays. How many young people ever actually spend time with older people? Very few. And the middle class, lower class, man, I grew up in that particular time when you seemed like, because your mom and dad had a thriving job, that you were on top, and anybody who was on welfare or the lower class, they were not doing their part. And it was really, folks, it's a really systematic way of dividing us to conquer us. And all they wanted was our profits. And then we have the church. We don't even have to get into how the church is part of this whole particular breakdown. And it was supposed to be enlightening us and empowering us, and it was dividing us. We had the AMEs, the Baptists, the Presbyterians. We had this one, and this church is not right, and this people's not right. And it just, folks, the more you divide a pie, the less it becomes valuable. And they realized if they could divide us, they would conquer us. This snapshot of just a few of the states from January to July 3rd. I didn't do all of them because there were more. It went all the way to September. Look at how many states and cities had to go through this barrage of fire. See, they use it. When they can't understand anything, what do? They destroy it. So from Bedford County, Tennessee, Charleston, South Carolina, Pickens, Mississippi, Annapolis, Maryland, New London, Connecticut, Memphis, Tennessee, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Folks, it is a way that they could take us, make sure we never unite. Because if we ever united, truthfully, we would outgrow them and we would need them, but they needed us. So if you're wondering why we've never been able to unify, please don't think it's not because we didn't want to, or we didn't attempt to. Even right now today, if you as a young African-American have a great idea and go create a business, will you get any proceeds to help you out? That's the question. So how do we get past this? Family, it's the one thing I learned as a school teacher, that when I taught, I was glad that I was an English teacher. My students, when they were in the classroom, they loved to read. Before I met them, they hated reading. And when I realized it was systematically done, therefore we would never engage in liberating our minds, I understood how the Red Summer continues on. That was 1919. Tulsa was 1921. Here it is 2023, and we're still divided. Soon I have a book that I'll be publishing and working with a company now. And there's a section that I'm kind of going back editing right now. It says, divided we stand, divided we fall. Family, we've been divided too long. Together we unite. You begin to read, take time. Biggest thing I'll say, turn off the social media. Yes, we may use it to inform, but what else do we use it for? To keep up with who's who and the Joneses, or to show off how we've made it over? Family, it's time to unite. And there's only one way we do this. By our creator, Yahuwah. Yeah, I learned that from one of my Hebrew Israelite teachers that I'm studying now. He, along with Yeshua, they knew that this time would come. But now what do we do to combat the division? We unite. one soul at a time, one flock at a time, and give praise all the time. I thank you for this time. Once again, this is TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles, letting you know it's time to catch fire. Be peace. Be at peace, my family. Shalom. Family, forgive me, I had to come back because there was one more thing that I was thinking of when I thought about division equals profits in the Red Summer of 1919. And before we even go there, what I want to tell you is that there was a time, 1619 was when, of course, we touched down on the East Coast and became part of the slave trade. But did you know that 55 years prior to that 1619 date, what they were doing systematically to make sure that we would never stay together, they took the slaves, the older generation, and brought them one place, and they took the younger generation for 55 years, 5 decades, and they separated us for 55 years to make sure that we would not teach our culture, our language, our name, who we are, the spirituality. Folks, the Bible, the Quran, the Kabbalah, all these books were written based upon us and what we had written in the walls in Kemet. Yeah, Egypt. They called it Africa. So if you think about those 55 years, it's time for us to really catch fire. Their strategy worked, but it only worked for a time. Now is the time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Peace.